Right, here we go. Playing a 15-minute game against Pernod. And I have white. Let's go with e4. And he is going to play the Caro Kann, of course. I'll play the Fantasy. I think next time I'm going to do a different opening. I'm getting a little bored of this exact opening so far. Oh, this is different. Normally he plays bishop back here, right? But I don't think that I have anything here. He takes. I come here with check. He takes. I take. He takes. And that's not good for me. I think I just castle here. Now I am threatening to play this because I'll have a double check. And I can pick the bishop back up. If he plays here, okay, this kind of transposes now. So I will play my bishop here. I'm still kind of tempted to play this, but I don't think it's as good now because his knight is there. Actually, maybe it's better now that my king is castled. Right, because if I take this and he takes, then I trade queens with him. I pick this back up. Let's go ahead and try it. And he doesn't have the rook check that he had before because I've castled. I guess he could just take this pawn. I didn't think about that. Okay, so he is going for it. Can take here now, right? And then after he takes, I could recapture with the knight and fork his rooks. And then this rook would probably move. It doesn't really have anywhere along this file. So here, 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 and then what does he do after that? I feel like his knight doesn't really have any strong moves there. I feel like this is just good. Now, is it better to take with the rook and try and go for mate somehow? I don't think so. I don't really see a mate there. All right, now I just want to trade everything off. Okay, interesting. So I could come here, and then his idea is to take this, and he wins an exchange. I could take this, and then if he takes this, I just take with the king, and my knight is still trapped. If I take this, I still don't think he has anything dangerous with his knight. And after he takes my knight, I could come up here and start winning these pawns. Or even pin his bishop to his rook. I like that idea. Yeah, I think I like this more than giving the check and picking up the pawn. I guess he could play here, and then after I take, he takes this with check, which is mildly annoying, but I can just slide over and I'm winning an exchange, so that's fine. Like now I just want to trade off all the pieces, right? So I think my next move is going to be knight c3. Try and kick his knight away. Oh, he just resigned, okay. Let's play the rematch. I'll try and play a different opening here. Interesting. What if I try and go for the Albin counter gambit now? Push this pawn. I feel like it doesn't really work. Let's try it though. Let's get wild with it. Too bad he didn't play in this order earlier. Like, bro, just play the Queen's Gambit. I've been trying to get you to do that for so long. Just play it. I feel like there's simply no way he takes this pawn. He's going to be like, what? He might take it this way, in which case I would take this. And we get that kind of weird, whatever that is. Interesting. So he's pinning the knight. That is strange. What is his plan here? I guess he wants to take this and not allow this. I could just take the knight, but then after he recaptures with the bishop, this is under a lot of pressure. But I could bring my knight out. Or I could just take here, and then he takes. I could bring my queen up, and then after takes, something like that, or bring the bishop back. I like bringing the queen up because it sets up the battery too, and it prepares long castling, although not yet because his queen will be able to take this. I think I'm going to give this check in a moment. Oh, never mind. All right, let's take here. Oh, I almost blundered this pawn, which would have been bad. Let's castle long and defend it. Oh, but that drops this pawn. That's fine though, that pawn is not as essential. And I want to get my rook on this d file. Too bad I can't go somewhere that attacks this this bishop. Like if I go here, he just takes it. and I don't have anything amazing after that. Let's come over here, I think. Or actually, let's bring out the other knight. I don't know, he might trade his bishop, but I think that would be good for me because then that would leave his kingside pretty weak. I want to open up this, is the point. I also want to try and trap his bishop, which I think is potentially possible. If I play knight here, then he can only bring it back here, and I win another pawn, or I win back my pawn that I was previously up. We apparently played a Zucker Tort, whatever the hell that is. Interesting, that is not a move I was expecting. So now his plan is to try and trade off this, which I don't want him to do because I like my bishop there. I guess that pawn would be super weak. I could win it back like pretty immediately, so I suppose that's fine. I would like having my light square bishop though, if I could keep it somehow. But I feel like it's not going to happen. Let's just do this. Attacking his bishop, he's going to bring it here. I'll take and slide my rook over and win that pawn back. He doesn't have any way of defending that pawn. I should try and play my bishop here in order to barricade this pawn on the light squares. I think that makes sense because he doesn't have... I have two minor pieces that can fight on the light squares and he only has one. So I should, in theory, be able to win this pawn Or in theory, I want all of his pawns to be on light squares because he's weaker on the light squares than I am. I'm also threatening to bring one of my knights over here and target this pawn. And he still has no way of preventing this move. Which after I do that, I can also double up, perhaps. Although it might make more sense to try and do that on the D file. I'm happy with my position so far, though. I've got an extra minor piece. I'm about to win a pawn. I don't really feel like I have any weaknesses. Like all my pawns are in their starting squares. Whereas Pranav, I think this pawn is weak. This pawn is a bit weak. Like there's definitely things to be focusing on. Could also bring this rook to the F file and then move this knight, and I'll have 3 attackers on it and he'll only have 2 defenders. Could also bring this knight and try and throw this pawn at him. There's lots of ideas here. I'm not really sure what is best. Okay, so he's clearly wanting to go here. And to that, I could do this, but that gives him the b5 square for his knight. If I allow him to go here and then I come here, he probably brings his bishop here to defend it, or here. If I play here and he brings his knight here, then what? I guess I could play here and kick it out. I think this is fine. He definitely wants to go b4, so I think it makes sense for me to try and prevent that. I think I'm going to go rook f8 and then bring this knight here. Oh, interesting. It's not where I thought he would bring the knight. Let's come. I'm kind of torn. Do I want to go back to a7 and focus on that pawn still? I think I'm going to come back here. And now I'm going to try and do things on this pawn. So bring my knight up and shove this pawn forward. I think that's my new game plan. And also I can try and, this pawn is pretty weak now. I guess he can push it forward, but I'll just move up. Not really worried about that. Okay, let's take that. And then let's take this. I guess he's trying to play this and take, and then come down here and win the rook. That's a good idea. And I don't think I really have a way of preventing that. I should have played a bit slower before taking. I think I'm still winning there though. Just because I'll have 3 pieces and actually I guess I wouldn't. I'll have 4 pieces and he'll have 3 pieces. I mean, I think I'm still winning there, but it's a lot harder. Maybe he doesn't see that. I feel like he would have played it already. Okay, I mean, this is a different version of the same thing, right? He wants to play down here with check. Well, right now he would do it with mate, actually. And he's threatening this. So, and he's preventing my rook from coming over here. So I do have to take this and then play over here. Now, can't I just lock his rook in jail with knight g8? That's kind of a really funny move, isn't it? Like, because the knights protect each other. And imagine if I play knight g8, he comes over here, then what? Then I bring my rook down. Oh, but then he takes, and I take, and he trades. I don't think it actually works, but it looks hilarious, so I just have to do it. I mean, just look at that. That's so funny. And I know it's going to really confuse him too, so I have to go for it. Like, how can you not? And if he doesn't find this move to try and get away this knight, I can walk my king over very slowly and push this pawn up and then just win the rook. Oh, he does find it. That's too bad. So I could come rook down, and then he takes, I take. If he takes, then I've got a knight and a bishop versus a rook. But he doesn't have to take at the end. He could take this pawn. Which is kind of annoying to deal with. I don't want him to take that pawn, so let's just play pawn here. And then after he takes the knight, I'll recapture with the knight. Which way do I go? I think this way. Maybe. I can try and win the pawn. So my knight is preventing him from infiltrating here or from going here and winning this pawn, which is good. And I can still take this pawn. Well, not anymore. Okay. In that case, let's come back, I think, in order to discourage him from going here or here. And then I can try and walk my king up and win this pawn. Maybe I should have traded. What's his point here after I take? I don't understand why he moved his rook there. Like, is that not a free pawn? He can't check me either way. I'll just take his rook. All right, let's see what he's got planned. Oh, he's walking the king over. That's interesting. Now I don't want to trade because I will lose my bishop. Let's come back a square with the king. Preparing this trade. Because then after this, then I'm just clearly better. I'm also way up on the clock, so I should be fine. As long as I don't blunder anything too terrible. Yeah, I was expecting that. Oh, did I blunder mate? Does he have a ladder? Damn. That was dumb of me. He doesn't have it fully because I can block. But this certainly isn't the best situation. Alright, let's play this. Everything's nicely protected now. Let's unpin the bishop. Actually, I don't like where his king is coming, so let's prevent it from moving forward. Now let's give this check. come back here. So let's come here and attack the pawns. I think these are just desperation checks. Not sure what that move is supposed to do. I was winning that even if I wasn't gonna win on time there. I was gonna get ultimate trousers. I don't want to play the fantasy. Let's go with the D4 opening. Let's go with the Queen's Gambit. Alright, Queen's Gambit declined. I actually don't know that much about this. I know a little bit more about accepted than declined. I want him to double my pawns, so let's go ahead and do this. This also allows me to play e4. Well, now it does not, because this pawn would be hanging. So let's play e3 and get a bit more of a solid... I guess I could have played knight f3 and saved e4, e3 for a little bit later. Let's try and kick the bishop out. He's forced to trade or go back along its returning diagonal. He can't go to a5 or he's going to lose it. Decides to take. Alright, I'm going to get ready to castle as well. Probably bring my bishop here. Queen to c2, something along those lines. Maybe the queen will even come to b3 in order to pressure this pawn if he moves his light squared bishop out. I suppose he's trying to prepare this move. I feel like I've got it pretty under control, right? If he pushes and I take and he takes, then I take, he can't recapture because my bishop covers it. That pawn would be a bit weak, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to castle, and then I think I'm going to start expanding on the queen side. Interesting. Do I want to take that? I feel like if I don't take it, he's going to take my dark squared bishop. And then it's really, so now it's really just a question of, do I want my dark squared bishop or do I want my light squared bishop? Also, if I keep the dark squared bishop, he'll have doubled pawns. My knight would have to move somewhere, maybe like here, in order to target it. And try and win that pawn. I guess I can try that. I suppose you could play f5 to try and hold on to that pawn. It's kind of a weird move, though. Interesting. So I guess the idea is I take, he takes, I take, he takes, and then I can't take here because I would lose this. Can't I just push his knight away though and then take? Or even take here and then take? Well, I guess if I take there, he's gonna take. Well, no, he can't take with the rook. Then I guess his knight moves away with check, maybe. Like, maybe he jumps in here. And that's, yeah, that's pretty bad. I think I want to do this. Like, where's his knight gonna move? It either has to come here, but I can take. And then I guess he can try and like force this pawn down. But I think I can just take it. And if he instead takes this way, then I definitely can just take that, right? And once his knight goes somewhere else, I can just snap that up. So I'm going to win that pawn and then castle. That's my plan. So step 1, win the pawn, is completed. Step 2 is to castle. Also, this pawn is hanging. Not anymore. Maybe I should have taken that one. Maybe that was better. Would that have been better? I don't know. Okay, where is this knight going? Here, perhaps? Do I castle here? Maybe I push this. And then if he takes, my knight jumps in. I think it's probably best to castle. Just make sure I'm very safe. Okay, I feel like this position is definitely has a large advantage for white. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to continue that advantage. Like, do I keep shoving these pawns forward and try and attack on the queen side? Maybe I bring my queen here and my knight there. I like the look of that, actually. Because it stops him from doing shenanigans where he brings his queen in and stuff. I feel like his next move is definitely this. I can just feel it. In which case I think I just bring my knight here. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So if I bring my knight here, hold on. If I bring my knight here and he plays this, I could take it and then maybe drop the knight up here. Or just bring it back. Or after he does this, I could just come right back. And then if he takes, I take, and that just opens my rook up. This diagonal, his king being open like that, seems very bad for him. I want to get my knight here. I could maybe come here and then here, but I feel like he just takes, and then I take, and he takes. And I haven't really accomplished anything there. Maybe I just leave the knight here, threatening to come here. And if he goes here, and then I can move the knight there. Or I can maybe come back. I don't know, I feel like I want to keep a piece by the king just because I'm a little bit worried that he's going to get a strong attack going. So I'm going to bring the knight over here. I don't want to leave my king all by himself. He gets lonely. Also, if he plays here, I take, he takes, I could threaten a mate, And then I guess he would block it like this or something. I'm not entirely sure what he would do. I could bring my knight back over here. But if he blocks it like this, then my knight is in some trouble. I guess he could come here. So he does play that. All right, time to decide. Do I take or do I just bring my knight back? If I bring my knight back and he takes, I feel like that's really good for me. But he doesn't have to take. He could just push. And that looks bad. Because then he's threatening my g2 pawn, and if I push, then I just have this permanent weakness on my light squares, and he still has a light square bishop. And that just doesn't seem like it can be allowed. So let's come here. Maybe he'll take with the knight. That would be a good move, actually. Yeah. Okay. So what do we do now? Do we just bring the knight right back? Maybe I attack the knight with my queen. His goal, I think, is he's trying to get here with his queen, but that doesn't really do anything because his knight is not in the right spot for that. He can't come here or here or here, here. Right now he can't come here either. Maybe I just try and trade it off. Like if I trade everything off at the end of the day, I'm just up a pawn, right? So that'll be good for me. And if he doesn't trade, then I can take, and then after take, I come here, threaten mate, which he has to respond to, and then I pick the pawn back up. Or he does this. So now he's threatening mate. So let's try not to blunder mate. Always good advice. So I can push the pawn and hit the knight. And he'll probably trade, but he might come here and hit this, and then I take. Well, I can't take actually because my pawn's pinned. I don't want to deal with these complications. I'm up a pawn. Let's just trade the knight off. You know, like why make it more difficult than it needs to be? Now if he takes this way, this pawn's going to be hanging, so I need to watch out for that. He takes that way. I guess he wants to play this. Well, I don't want him to play that. come here, and I think he comes here in that case. I could block the pawn, but then he comes here. Come here, and he comes here, and then if I go here, he takes, I take this way. Well, actually, if I go here, he just takes the rook. So let's play rook e1, I think. I think this is my best idea. Get the rook out of the line of fire. Maybe moving the king over would have been best, and then that allows me to capture here. So I could take, and he takes, and then maybe I move my queen here. I could just move my queen here in the first place, and then I'm threatening to win this. And he can't move the pawn forward. He can't come here because that's just good for me. And he can't take the rook because I recapture. So I think this is probably the best. I don't want to give him the e-file, so it doesn't make sense for me to take the rook first. And I think this is good also because it blockades the pawn. So he doesn't have any shenanigans where he pushes the pawn forward. And now I can move my king over, and then I'm threatening to do this. Well, actually, I don't even need to do that. I'm just threatening to take this straight up with my queen. Right, this is why I didn't do this in the first place. I forgot about this idea. But don't I just move my queen over here? Can't come back here. He could push, which is worrying. Now if I come here, he comes back. If I take, he's going to do this with check, that just seems horrible. Like, that's just mate. What if I trade queens? And then he takes and I take. I lose my pawn majority, my pawn advantage. And then we just have opposite colored bishops. Let's push. This certainly seems very scary, but if I can trade the queen off, I just need to get the queens off the board, and I feel like I should be okay in that situation. Maybe if I play here, I feel like he's going to come here and prevent me from doing that. But if he does that, I can take this pawn. And I feel like I'm fine in that scenario. Now that is an interesting move. That I was not expecting that. That is quite interesting. The idea is that if I take, he takes with the pawn, of course, and then he's threatening to promote. Well, he's not threatening to take either of these pawns because they're both defended. So for now, I think I'm just going to push this. Give my king some breathing room, potentially, if he needs it. And also force his queen away somewhere. I don't fully understand his idea if I take this, though, because he's not really threatening to promote. I've got two pieces that are covering it. So I feel like I'm going to take that. And then I'm just going to play... Okay. That changes things a little bit. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, I'm down on the clock by about 10 seconds. It's time to start playing faster. We're about to enter the end game phase. Interesting. Guess he wants to come here. I'm just going to push this pawn now. And then I'm going to push this pawn and I'm going to create a passed pawn. And mine's going to get through before his does. Okay, never mind actually. Don't have time to think about it. Let's bring the king over a square. I think that's a better square for him. His problem is that his bishop doesn't control that color. So I've got 3 defenders, he can only ever have 1. Ah, I fucked up. God damn it. Playing too fast. Classic. I needed to go like up here or up here. That was dumb. I think this was better, but I'm not sure. Oh well, good game. Maybe I can try and... I mean, there's no way that I win this on time. Like, this is just mate. Damn. What was the analysis there? I should have played... Oh. I should have played... I thought about doing, instead of this, I should have done this. But I just didn't for whatever reason. I should have done this. Then there was never any way he was going to push it forward. And I'm like slightly ahead here. When I played this, this is a fine move, but what was best here? Yeah, bringing the bishop back. Damn. I think if I'd had like a minute more, I would have found that. Yeah, that was just bad. So this, what was the faster mate here? So it was there. And then what? Oh well. I think we're... Oh, he wants a rematch? Okay. I thought we were done. But I'll play one more. What time is it? 7:30? Yeah, I'll play one more. Last game went well. Let's play knight c6. I can't play here, right? If he takes, then I take, and he takes, and that's not good. Let's just do what I did before and play e6. All right. Let's get the knight out. Let's bring this bishop here, I think. And then if he takes here, I'll just take with the knight. I'm not going to castle in either direction yet, though. Now maybe he is threatening to take. And then I take, and he takes, and I take, and he takes. And these pieces are gone. So he's winning a pawn there. I really don't want to open his bishop up, though. All right, let's take. Oh, I guess I could have pinned. That might have been the move. So he's attacking my knight and he wants to win my rook. I could castle away. could just defend it with my queen. I think I like that a bit more. And he's going to win back this pawn, but that's fine. I don't really care about that. He decides not to go for that pawn, which is interesting. I'm going to play here, I think. And I'm threatening to take the bishop with check, and our queens see each other. Do I take with the king? I honestly think taking with the king might be best here. But I could also take with the knight and then just get out of any potential fork that ever might happen. And my knight can also like reroute this way. I kind of liked that my knight was pressuring this pawn though. But preserving the right to castle is probably more important. That's interesting. Let's come here to attack that pawn. I'm absolutely shocked he didn't bring the bishop back here. I don't understand what his idea was there. So he can't push because I take. He can't bring the bishop back to defend. And he can't do this because oh, he can do that actually. But he can't do it because I do this and I remove his right to castle and pick up his dark squared bishop. Okay. I can come here and defend it. I can also come here with check. And then I can try and pick up this pawn, but my knight hangs. Let's come here. Oh, if I come here though, then he plays... No, that's bad, because if I come here, he plays this. And then I guess I play this, and he plays this, and that's no good. So let's come here, give the check, force his king to move, and lose castling rights. And then I'll just drop this knight back here, and I can potentially... He may defend the b2 pawn, but it's fine. I'm up 2 pawns already, and as Daniel says, after the second pawn, then additional pawns are like you start seeing diminishing returns from picking up additional pawns. So like if I can pick up b2, then great. But if I can't, then that's fine too. I could bring my bishop here in order to not move that knight. But then he has moves like knight here, and like why go to that? I could play c5. I actually like c5 quite a lot. Because if he takes the knight, then my pawns are really strong there. So let's play c5. And if he does this, then my bishop is defending it, so it's fine. I guess if he does this, then he's also defending this. Okay, I think I am going to castle short, obviously. Oh, perfect. Isn't that just like, that's exactly what I want from the position. Now I'm going to pick up this pawn if he lets me, and then these pawns are just going to fly down the board, hopefully. He's definitely going to come here, right, in order to defend this pawn. And then I can't quite play here because he has this. He's almost trapped though. If I move the rook over and then play b5, his knight will be trapped. Okay, I have to move my king. I almost did that earlier though, so I'm not too brokenhearted about that. And now his knight can't go to this square. Which means I can play this, and he'll win a tempo on his bishop when I do play it. I suppose his knight is going to move here. But I think I just played this anyways. Yeah. He's not threatening to come here. I guess he's threatening to take this. But after I do this, his bishop is under attack, so he can't take here. And now I can push the pawn. And so he won't be able to get it. Oh, or we'll do this. I mean, look at these just monster pawns, dude. Those are clearly the best thing about my position. Imagine if I played a6, a5, and I just marched all those pawns down the board. And I'm up about 2 minutes on the clock. Always good. Oh wait, he sent GG's phone turned off. When did he send that? Okay, so he is still playing. That just can't be right, right? Can't I play this now? And he has to move the bishop again? Like, am I crazy? Once he moves it here, it's probably... I guess he could move it here. It's oh, okay. If I take this way, it's closer... My pawn is closer to his king, so I'm going to take with the knight, actually. And also my rook can immediately... I don't have to move my king to get my rook behind the pawn. I can just immediately slide in there. Well, if he wants to trade rook for a knight and a pawn, that's perfectly a-okay with me. Probably going to move my king over here on my next move. Unless he plays this, in which case my next move will be that. Oh, interesting. I wasn't really expecting that move. I can just push, right? Now I've got two passed pawns again. Connected passed pawns. I was expecting that. We're just going to play here. Protect the pawn, lock his pawn in place. And in a moment I'm going to move my king away, bring the other rook. I'll be attacking this pawn. I guess he wants to double up rooks. So let's actually play rook here first before moving the king out of the way. Okay. Let's move the king out of the way. Now my knight is free to move, which prevents him from doing this. rook could potentially go here and try and win this pawn. Let's bring the knight back here, I think, in order to attack this pawn and potentially force a trade of rooks. This king is completely cut off, can't get to the pawns. So my king just needs to stay on this side and deal with these four guys, and these three are just gonna hang out by themselves. I mean, this game is over, like, why even continue playing this out? Not sure which of these two was best to pass, to push, but I really don't think it matters. They can just go up together. And it won't ever be stalemate because he's got all these pawns. Let's bring the knight here. Kick out his king, and then make a queen, and he resigned. All right, that was my last one. Good games, Pranav. Let's quickly take a look at this game review. I'm not going to look at all of them, just this one. What time did we start playing? 6:22. Wow, we played for like an hour and a half. Okay, let's... This is, what is this? The Zuckertort. So that was a blunder, yeah, because I gave that away. It was best to capture with the knight. Wow, bishop d1 was best. Why is that better than this? This allows a fork. Oh, you got to prevent that. Duh. So that was good, but what was the best move here? Was it to defend with the bishop? I feel like that was not right. It is. Interesting. But what do you do after the knight? Knight a4. Okay, so knight a4 was right. You just castle? Wow, you castle, and the rook now defends the knight, and then the other knight defended the bishop. That's crazy. But I mean, this is only 0.5 worth, so I'm fine with that. And this was not good. Even though it says good, I think this really hurt him. What was best here? Moving the king up towards the pawns. Yeah, okay. I kind of thought that, but I also didn't want to get too far away from his pawns just to make sure he didn't allow anything. So this was best. Mate in 3. I guess here, and if he comes here, then you have mate. And if he goes back here, you play this check, and he's forced to come here. No, that doesn't seem right. Find mating with knight and queen very difficult. Let's see. Interesting. It's not the mate I was expecting. So after this move, his king, but his king can go here. What do you do in that case? King d5 is a mate. Yeah, like I never see these mates where the knight covers like this square and the pawn is covering this square. Pranav says, your new opening against Catalan is really good. Thanks, I developed it right there on the spot. I haven't looked at that before. Alright, good games.